the best in the world for my news network, and today I have Tyler Rudy of Puerto Rico St on with me today. He is our first American player, and he is also one mustache and a hair hero for me. Tyler, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Dude, pleasure. Okay, so one of the first things I want to dip into, as I usually do, I want to dip into your background a little bit. So,
Sure.
How did you get involved in the game, and what aspects of it pursued you to go on and have a professional career?
So, I think like most American kids, I started out playing a few different sports. Hockey was actually one of the main ones that I did play, but soccer was one that I think I developed quicker than any other sport. And my sister and my dad grew up playing, and my mom always enjoyed the sport. But just watching my sister grow up playing and my dad being with her and coaching her teams and everything like that, I think I just grew up naturally around the sport, and that led me to playing it. And I think one of the things, hockey is just so hard in the U.S. to kind of grow. Like it's hard to. There's not a lot of club teams, or it's not really a sport that is that popular in the U.S. I think soccer was something that I just continued to play because of the popularity. I had a lot of friends who played with me, and once I started to realize that I was getting a little bit better, and then I think when I made varsity my freshman year at Sherwood High School in my hometown, I think that's when I kind of said, like, okay, I can make a leap for this. And I decided probably around then that I really wanted to pursue like a Division I scholarship from probably freshman year. And then as I grew up a little bit physically, I think that helped me along the way when I played with the Only Rangers when I signed with them when I was, I think, 12 or 13. And then from there, the Development Academy came in probably my sophomore year of high school. And the team, unfortunately, had to kind of split up because a lot of players wanted to play academy because that's where all the college coaches were at the showcases and everything. So I ended up playing for DC United, and that was probably the best decision I could have made for my career just because of the amount of good players that were around me. I actually had to get better because I wouldn't have played. If I had stayed at the level that I was at, I would have never made roster or anything. That's when I really grew as a player due to the competition around me.
So going back to your family. So your sister and your father got you into it?
I would say being around the sport from them, yes. Those were the two, and my mom always supported it from day one. So that would be the reason. So
in your family, who's most competitive?
I think my sister is. This is a conversation we were kind of joking about the other day before I came to Puerto Rico. We have like a big board game night on New Year's Eve, and she's a handful to play board games with. I mean, we play for fun, and she's like, nah, she's playing to win. I think that she is probably the most competitive in the family, along with my dad, and me and my mom are probably a little bit more laid back.
Okay. I mean, the girls are always ultra competitive.
Yeah.
Want to win.
That's true.
Moving on to your college career, you played 4 years at Georgetown, scoring 7 goals in 88 appearances, with also 12 assists.
Correct.
Georgetown is a top school in college soccer. So what was it like with all the pressure of performing and being a top-ranked school? What was the pressure like from the university and the region that cared about the soccer?
Yeah, so actually I committed to Georgetown as the last recruit in my class. Coach Weiss called me and said, we have one more spot, and you're a local guy, we want it to be you. And I just made sure that it was okay with my family financially. Obviously, it's an extremely expensive school, and being a last recruit, the money was pretty much all given out by then. I was a late bloomer my senior year with DC United, and they came so late. But I think my entire family agreed that you just can't pass up on that opportunity to go to such a prestigious university and play Division I soccer in a growing division. The Big East was growing at the time, and Georgetown was actually probably middle of the pack. And my class and the class above us, with the likes of Joey Dillon, Steve Newman, guys above him, Tommy Muller, Ian Christensen, who were all drafted into the MLS, they were kind of the main class that started the Georgetown dynasty, almost you can call it, just in terms of making the tournament every year. But the pressure was definitely there. It was kind of like once I became the big guy on DC United's academy, I had to start back over with Georgetown and I'd start from day one being a freshman again and proving my worth. And over time I did. I had a great freshman year, but I came back in sophomore year and had to do it again because we had even better recruits than my class. So the pressure was always there, but that's, at the end of the day, that's what made me a better player for sure, because it's the ones that can live up to the hype and to the pressure those are the ones that eventually succeed and end up in the higher ranks.
Yeah, Georgetown had a lot of good players. They had behind you is Jaro and Rosenberry. Before you was Newman. So I mean that roster was stocked for a couple of years.
Yeah,
and Georgetown continues to be good.
Yeah, it's really Coach Weiss has done an amazing job with the recruiting since probably the class before, 2 classes before mine, probably class of 2013 maybe was the start of everything, and since then it's just been, obviously they dropped off a little bit last year, but when you lose your entire starting back four to the MLS, it's hard to kind of put the pieces back together in a span of 3 months. So, but yeah, it was tough actually. So I remember after I started every game except for maybe 2 my freshman year, scored 3 goals, had a couple assists, and then so I thought I had kind of stamped my spot on the lineup for my next 3 years. And I remember Coach Samuel, the assistant coach, telling me there's this guy coming in, Keegan. And I was like, okay, like, that's fine. How is he? And Samuel was like, he's going to be a little bit better than you. And I kind of giggled and I was like, okay, like I'll try and earn my spot. And so he came in and started at right back, which was the spot that I was supposed to play. And he ended up earning the right mid spot. And so me and Keegan were on the right side, and that kind of, our relationship on the field grew exponentially. I mean, we were pretty good out there together combining, but off the field we became best friends too. So it was just, that's the type of competition that occurred when I was in school. It was kind of like you thought you were the guy until they brought in another guy. So then you had to beat out another teammate. And that's just but that's what makes good teams. It happens all over the world.
Going to your senior year, you were named the captain, and you were also second team All Big East. What was that senior year like for you, achieving the captainship of the team, but also getting national recognition?
I think senior year was, top year of my life in terms of soccer, probably to this day. It's just the kind of the pressure and the weight of being the captain of a Division I program, a top 10 Division I program. It was a privilege, especially at Georgetown, and an honor. And I think it kind of capped off I would say a great career at Georgetown. And just getting the Big East recognition was something special that I had been working for. I had never gotten anything before that. I had been working for it for 3 years, and I thought maybe I deserved something my freshman year, all rookie team, or maybe my sophomore year. But finally getting some recognition from the league my senior year was really special. But just the group of guys my senior year were amazing. So easy to lead. Guys would help me out. It wasn't like I was the only captain on the field. I mean, there was people saw me as maybe the player's captain because I wore the armband, and people knew that they could look up to me with certain stuff on and off the field. But there were 11 guys on the field that could lead the team, and that's kind of. I mean, if we look back at it, that's a Final Four team. We lost, we were winning 1-0 until the last 10 seconds against the UVA, and they scored and then ended up winning in PKs. But that's a Final Four team, in my opinion, and potentially a national championship.
And, I mean, you were obviously an excellent player at Georgetown, enough to get you a discovery rights signing with New England Revolution.
Correct.
So what was it like to get the call and to sign the contract for your first major professional contract?
It was a huge relief because during those months when the combine list comes out, it's during final exams. You're about to graduate early from college. There's just a ton of emotions going through your head. You don't know. There's so many unknowns that it's a really stressful time in your life. It's an exciting, stressful, but the unknowns make it really a burden. I mean, you're studying for final exams at a tough school, and then you find out that you could be on the combine list or that you're not going to be on the combine list. Or I heard a lot of different things, and pretty much none of them ended up being true. From DC United was going to sign me homegrown to I'm a shoo-in on the combine list to you're a first-round pick, you're a second-round pick, you're a third-round pick. So-and-so is going to take you here. So-and-so is going to take you here. And none of it happened. But thankfully, I have a fantastic agent, and he stuck with me the entire time. And he probably knew right after the draft that New England was going to call. They had mentioned something to him before. And to actually get the call was something special. I woke up to a voicemail from the assistant coach, Tommy Stone, saying, like, you're flying out this day. Congratulations, we picked up your discovery rights. Essentially, for me, that's my draft. Like, that's my way of getting drafted. I've never done anything mainstream. I've never been the main recruit. I've never been the main guy that with the pink vapors. That's just not me, like, as a person, and that's never how I've gone through life. And so it was just kind of it was a fitting way to get into the MLS, just kind of the back door, grind your way in, no recognition really, nobody really knew. And then to beat out draft picks and to sign was a whole nother accomplishment. But just to get recognized, to get sort of drafted by an MLS team was just a surreal feeling, and it was pretty much surreal the whole time I was there. I never got used to it, and I'm okay with that.
So how do you filter all that out? You're going to be drafted by this team in this round or this team in this round. Like, how did you kind of cope with that, with it all coming in at one time?
I took it all in because I literally listened to everything, and I shouldn't have, probably looking back. But you don't know. Like, you don't know who to listen to. You don't know what's going to be true. The only thing you can do is hope that it does come true. And I took it all in, and it made me more excited, even if they said I was going in the third round or something. Anything that I heard, I took it and ran with it. That was my motivator in the offseason. When I didn't make the combine list, but then I get a call. You're still going to get drafted. That motivated me. You're going to be added on to the second combine list. Didn't happen. Then I get a call, but so-and-so is still going to take you. That motivated me. So I kind of used it as something to keep pushing me, because if I had just stopped after not being on the combine list, I probably wouldn't have been sharp enough to make an MLS roster going into the Revolution.
And talking about the Revolution, you played, what was it, one full season of Revolution?
Correct.
What was it like being around MLS players, some experienced MLS players, and of course Steve Newman, who we mentioned earlier? How did he help you transition from college to MLS, and what was it like just in the MLS atmosphere compared to Georgetown?
So I was immediately comfortable going into New England because of Steve. I had known him so well from Georgetown. He was a year older than me, and he was great. He was by my side every second, and me and him have a great relationship. And he's honest with me. He kind of took me by the side and said, like, you got to just play simple. Don't worry about anything. Play your game. He was always by my side, and always the guy that would pick me up if something happened. For example, I got a red card in one of the preseason games, and he was right there by my side saying, don't worry about it. Like, that stuff happens. It's part of the game. Just little things like that. And he was always the guy that would pick me up if I was ever nervous or anxious about anything, about signing or But he automatically made the transition easier. And the Revolution when I was there at least, had such a young locker room, the likes of Diego Fagundes, Kellen Rowe, Scotty Caldwell, Donnie Smith, Andrew Farrell, Juan Agudelo. Like, they're all those guys I just named are under 25. And they all went through what I went through. So London Woodbury, who I became very close with because he went to Maryland, just guys like that took me under their wing and just treated me like a friend first and foremost, and then a teammate as the year went on. But it was it was surreal because I had watched these guys. Charlie Davies, I had watched World Cup qualifiers, Gold Cup. It was crazy. And then Jermaine Jones comes back, and I'm just thinking, like, I just watched you in the World Cup. And I didn't get used to it. I never got used to walking in there seeing Jermaine Jones. He was one that obviously stood out because it was right after a World Cup. But that was the type of attitude that I had when I walked in there. I was still kind of starstruck, and that feeling never really went away.
Is Jermaine Jones, does he practice like he play? This relentless energy is going to go get you?
Yeah, he picks and chooses. He's smart. He knows his body. He's smart when to give it his all, and like, okay, Jermaine's going to relax a little bit today, but he's so good on the ball. I don't think people give him enough credit on the ball. That it doesn't matter either
way. All right, your move to Rochester. It was a loan deal. You played 14 games for them. What was it like in the USL? Or no, not the USL, the Premier Development League.
No, Rochester was in the USL.
Okay, never mind. I'm looking at your pitchfork stats.
No problem. So, yeah, Rochester was great for my development because I hadn't played any games. I played preseason games with the Revs, but I wasn't making rosters, and I needed to get games. So they decided that would be the best spot to do it. It was. I played in 14 games. I think I started half of them. And I started at 2 different positions, right mid, center mid, holding mid. And I think I just needed experience at that level, at the professional level. And a lot of it is it's the lifestyle. Yeah, I mean, the waking up, the training, and it's your job rather than it's a sport. It turns into, you have to transition into your eating habits, taking care of your body every single day, little things that you don't think about really necessarily as a kid in college. All that stuff hits you pretty quickly at the next level, and Rochester really helped me adjust to that. And getting games after long days of travel in the hotels and just stuff like that, I think. So it's a long season, and in college it's like a 3 or 4 month season, and it's an 11-month season at the next level, and that was a huge transition for me. And Rochester gave me the opportunity to adjust to that and get games, and the speed of play was higher. It was young guys and MLS guys coming down like I was, and it was just important that I was getting games.
So on March 30th of last year, you signed with the expansion side Puerto Rico FC, which is your current club now.
Correct.
What did you hope to get from your first season at Puerto Rico FC? And looking back on it now, did you accomplish those goals, and how do you feel about it now?
So my main goal was to start and be a main guy for Puerto Rico FC, and I did do that. I think I started 22 games, logged over 1,400 minutes or something like that, a lot of minutes over a long period of probably a 6-month season because we came in the second half. But the main goal and purpose of me signing with Puerto Rico FC was to develop as a player first and foremost, and gain experience at a higher level. And that's what Coach Heaps, that was his goal as well for me. Is he basically just said, like, you're not going to play here. There's too many guys in your position. We want you to develop, and the NASL is a great league. It's growing. Puerto Rico FC is an expansion club, a great opportunity for you. Coach Whitbread saw you in preseason with us, loves you, wants to sign you. And from then it was, okay, I'm going to become the main guy on this team and stake my claim early so I can be a mainstay guy. And I did that, I think. I scored a couple goals, my first professional goal. which was special for me. Stayed healthy, which was something that I didn't actually do the year before, which was rare because I'd never really gotten injured. But the surgery set me back, so I was happy to come back from that. That was a 6-month sideliner, so coming back from that was important to stay healthy. But I think looking back, I think I had a great year. It's not easy coming off an injury and then playing 22 games at a level that you've never played at. I think I adjusted well, and I think I got better towards the end of the season. And I'm looking to bring that into this year as well.
A side note for playing for Puerto Rico, this is sparking my own curiosity. How's the travel take a toll on your body? Because I understand you have to go from Puerto Rico to, say, Edmonton, or
Correct.
Puerto Rico to like a California or anywhere very, very long distance. How much of a toll does that take on your body?
So one would say that I'm young and it shouldn't have that much of an impact on my legs and my body. It does. The bottom line is it does. It impacts anybody. Flying to Edmonton is about a 9-hour travel day. If you look at the layovers and everything, and then you got to play the next day or 2 days from then, and it's certainly not easy. It takes you a good day and a half to recover. But I think you kind of get used to it, and that's what you train for. I mean, we have a great staff, and we're provided with the tools to prepare our body in certain ways to cope with the long travel days. But yeah, it's certainly not easy. It wasn't something that I was used to, especially when you're a team on an island, and the way that the schedule works out is you don't fly and play one away game. You usually fly and you're gone for a week because you'll probably fit 3 games in while you're on the mainland. So last year we flew to Jacksonville on a Saturday, Jacksonville on a Friday, played Saturday, flew then to Oklahoma to play on a Wednesday, and then back to Tampa to play on the following Sunday. So it's 3 games in 7-8 days, and not much adjustment in the lineup because it's new. It's a new team. You have to kind of stick with your guys, and that was really tough. There's a few injuries coming back from that trip, but we all learned from that. And we kind of stepped up our game in terms of taking care of our bodies and have to be a little bit smarter with how we do things with travel.
Yeah, that's one of the main issues involving American sports, because the Vancouver Whitecaps have to go 14,000 kilometers to play 6 road games in a row. Like it takes a lot out of you.
It does.
And I was just wondering, from being Puerto Rico, which is below and farther, going all the way up to Canada, then come to Oklahoma City, it takes a lot.
It does.
It takes a physical toll.
Hydration is key.
Got to drink that water.
You have to. It is key.
All right, so a little fun one at the end, because I'm drawn to a close.
No problem.
If you had one last meal, and you had, one night, one meal, a beverage, entree, an appetizer, and dessert, what would it be? What would it be?
Okay. Appetizer would be tough. I would say my appetizer would be bacon. Just bacon would be a nice appetizer. I mean, I don't know why. I'm thinking appetizers are usually greasy, and I can't think of something. I usually don't get them. Maybe a French onion soup would be good too, but bacon I think would probably be, because I can eat that for days. My meal would probably be sliced ham, green beans, pretty much a Thanksgiving meal, but instead of the turkey, I'd probably have the ham. So maybe like a Christmas.
Agreed.
A lot, that I can eat that every day. I can eat ham every day. And my dessert would be homemade chocolate chip cookies with a glass of milk. Just straight up, and I have to cook them.
What about the beverage? What would you drink during all this? One last night. One last.
Dang, that's tough. Like probably a nice glass of milk, a cold glass of milk with that meal and the cookies. Probably.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. I'm down for this.
Yeah, that's a good meal.
That's a good meal.
It sounds pretty much like a Christmas meal for me and my family. Maybe that's why I like it so much.
So, Tyler, it's been a pleasure.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, we've been working this out for months.
Yeah.
It literally has been months now.
Yeah.
So, I was happy to have you on.
You got it.
Your hair, the mustache, everything I want it to be.
I'll keep it going. Guys.
Thank you, and good luck on the upcoming season. Hope you do.
You got it. Appreciate it.
In Puerto Rico, Orlando, kind of right there. I'm an Orlando City guy, so I'll be rooting for you in Puerto Rico in the NASL.
Got it. I appreciate it.
You got it, man.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, man. I've been Rod Menace with the World Football News Network, and as we say in the United States of America, and also Puerto Rico, don't score on goals. Thank you.
Yeah.